Today, I've got for you what I think is the damage record in the premium Tier 8 IJN battleship ARP Musashi. But the claim for this damage record does have to come with a bit of an asterisk, because I believe there is a bug, or at least there was a bug in this game, that was crediting more damage to a player than they should have earned when they sunk an enemy ship by either citadel or ramming. And spoiler alert, but one of those things happens in this game, so the game may have given me more damage than I was due for the particular instance that we'll see toward the end. I don't know exactly, but even if it did, I think we're still blowing the original damage record out of the water. I'll put it on the screen so you can see. It's in the official World of Warships Legends Discord server right now. 242,000 by Sky Gardem on mobile, actually, which is quite impressive, I think. Anyway, we are going to blow that number out of the water by about 56k in this game, and it's an interesting ride for us to get there. I think it might end up being kind of controversial, though. We did just hit the Marlborough over there for about 30k. Iowa out there broadside to us. Our total goes up to 48k with another Citadel on him, and he's going to continue sailing broadside that way, so I think we're going to get another Citadel. Take this opportunity to put my commander build up on the screen. It's Takagi. Nothing really special here, except in one of the inspiration slots, we do have Arthas the Cold. So that means every time we launch our fighter plane into the air, we get a damage buff, which is coming in handy against both the Marlborough and Iowa. We're up to 71,000 damage done already in just the first couple minutes. Enemy destroyers are spotted behind the island, but the island is, of course, keeping us safe from torpedoes. However, if we take a closer look at the minimap to see what is developing here, well, we'll note that the enemy team has 3 destroyers. 2 of them are right in front of us inside the Alpha Cap. 2 of our destroyers are also inside of the cap, so our idea is to come around here and maybe give them some assistance. Jaeger is spotted, but maneuvering heavily, and I really kind of don't trust the ARP Musashi to hit it. Although it looks like that may be the only shot we can get, so we take it. I think the results are not going to be anything at all. But Z-46 is now spotted, shooting at the friendly destroyer in front of me, who helpfully lets us know that he is spotted, because, wow, I would not have guessed. But the Z-46, he's taken some damage from the friendly destroyer. Looks like the friendly destroyer is dodging the torps, which is ideal. Shot is out from our main guns at the Z-46, and it nets us the first blood medal and an additional and impressive 234 damage against the enemy destroyer. And that clears up the threat on this flank, really. It's just the Jaeger left, and there was one battleship spotted way up north, but we've got a situation developing on the minimap that we need to take special note of. Besides that battleship up in the north, there are 4 others on the enemy team, and every single one of them is pushing into the Charlie cap on the other side of the map. They're going to push south through that cap, and at some point they are probably going to turn west into the center of the map, which means we need to turn around and we need to plot an intercept course. The idea is, if they are indeed going to turn west, because you can see that the remainder of my team is pushing north. If they are going to turn west, they are going to potentially have the broadsides of my teammates as they make that northern push. But if we go south, the idea is we can get their broadsides when they're turning west. Again, what is the primary role of the battleship? It is to find a place on the map where the enemy team has to push past your guns in order to get to some goal. And that is why we are traveling south with that mission in mind. We intend to put ourselves on the south of the map so we can access the broadsides of the enemies as they turn west, which we are predicting. Of course, in order to plan this, we have to look at the minimap, we have to kind of know what is likely to happen, and we have to be thinking in advance. Anyway, we begin our push with a salvo at the Republique. Results are not spectacular, but that is to be expected in the ARP Musashi, or the Musashi in general. To be honest with you, I don't know if there is a difference between the ARP Musashi and the regular one, But I was thinking to myself as I played this ship that it seems a lot more accurate than I remember the regular Musashi being. In any case, we've got Karl Johann pushing in. And some of you may be under the mistaken impression that Karl Johann is a well-armored battleship. In fact, it is not, at least not when it's fighting the Musashi, or the Yamato for that matter. And this salvo, well, I intend to demonstrate to you exactly how. You see how this guy is slightly angled? Well, as long as we get some good accuracy here, that angle is going to be completely irrelevant to the power of these 460s. Take a look at that. That is over 20,000 damage on the angled, well-armored Karl Johann. And he's headed toward that island. You can see that the entire fleet of enemy battleships has done just as I predicted. They have turned west in order to try to shoot at our teammates who are continuing to push north. So if we can push further, actually a little bit east and south, southeast that is, we are going to have their broadsides. We have Karl's broadside right now, and we hit it for an additional 15,000 damage, but he's going to be able to take himself behind that island there and temporarily shield himself from our firepower. But you can see we're missing a little bit of HP now. We're starting to lose some HP, and we've burned through one of our only 2 heals. There is a reason that I did not turn in to try to bow tank this mass of battleships, and I suspect some people watching this video might consider this kiting that I'm currently engaged in to be bad play. But my justification for that is if I had turned bow in to these 4 enemy battleships, well, then you can see they're continuing to move west across the screen, and if I'm going toward them and getting closer as they are spreading out, that is going to make it more likely for me to be caught in a crossfire. And if they all start focusing me, especially the Karl Johann with HE, well, you saw how much damage that little bit of exposure to these 4 enemy battleships got me when they weren't focusing me. I think it would be a recipe for my demise if I had pushed bow in, whereas if I kite, well, then I can keep 100% of my firepower on target at all times while keeping myself angled. And as the enemy continues to spread out, I can create more distance and make it much less likely that they'll be able to achieve a crossfire on me. In any case, the enemy team has basically given up on trying to fight me aside from this Iowa. We've got a destroyer next to us right here who is attempting to torpedo the Iowa, and he does land 1, which is good. But the idea right now is that we need to take out this Iowa as soon as possible, turn around, and then start pushing in. That's my sort of only regret. Well, there is one more in this battle near the end. We'll see it. That's sort of my only regret in this game, is that we were not able to take out the Iowa just a little bit quicker, because now we are becoming less and less relevant as the enemy team pushes away from us. So we are going to need to turn around and push into this Iowa as soon as possible. Luckily, one of the commander inspirations on our build is Kondo, which decreases the battleship concealment. We have a sea detectability range of 13 kilometers, which a lot of people are going to tell you is useless. Had I not put Kondo on as an inspiration, though, I would have had a detectability of something like 13.6 or 13.7 km. Perhaps not a big difference on paper, maybe not even a kilometer, but now we are about to be unspotted by the Iowa as soon as we lose our firing penalty, and this is going to allow us to turn in earlier than we otherwise would have if we did not have Kondo as an inspiration. We obviously don't really want to turn while we're spotted and expose broadside to the Iowa, because Musashi and Yamato both have very accessible citadels, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that this Iowa could dev strike me if I'm flat broadside enough. But because I have concealment, I'm able to make this turn. I'm able to control the engagement to make it so that the Iowa cannot shoot at me because I am not spotted. And once I complete the turn, I'm able to fire my own guns and dictate the terms of this battle. The salvo is out. It makes contact with the Iowa along with the friendly destroyer's torpedoes, and he is well on his way back to port. There are still 5 minutes left to go in this game. We are a little bit out of position, to be fair, up against the map border. I wish I could have taken out this Iowa quicker, but it is what it is. We're going to be able to take him out now. He's running away. He is angled, but Musashi's guns don't really care about your angle. All I need is good RNG to spread the shells into a small area across the Iowa's hull. And there goes most of the rest of his HP. One more salvo should do it. In any case, the plan is to take out the Iowa and then continue pushing forward into the rest of the enemy battleships who have now met my team. They're in a duel somewhere between Alpha and Bravo. And at this point, it is anybody's game. The ship count is even. Iowa does not go down with that salvo, unfortunately. But the ship count is even. Actually, the enemy team is down one ship. They're about to be down two. They were ahead on points, but we take the lead with the sinking of the Iowa. Friendly destroyer is in the Charlie cap, which is excellent. As long as he secures that, that is going to help guarantee our win. Carl Johan takes down the Minnesota, though, and now we are even. It's 4v4. The enemy team does actually have 4 surface ships, though. One of ours is a CV, which possibly is a little bit of an advantage, but we've got a problem developing here. The Delta cap is turning red, which means the enemy destroyer is in the cap. But if you know the direction that torpedoes are likely to come from, that makes them much easier to dodge. We know the destroyer is in Delta, and we were sailing sort of perpendicular to Delta. We are now going to turn in and basically do a zigzagging maneuver. There's the first set of torpedoes and a nice gap that we can get right through. We know he's launched the torpedoes. The destroyer is a Jaeger, though, so he does have a reload booster. And there is the second set right there. He's already used it, so this is good news. We've got a little bit of time before we have to expect any more torpedoes. Republic is now in our firing range, so we are taking the shot. The results are terrible. 1 shatter, but it's okay. We're going to continue to push forward. We want to be mindful of the enemy Jaeger, though. We know he's outside of the cap. We're no longer contesting it, and there he is. He gets spotted by the friendly CV, so instantly we're going to shoot at him. It is crucial that he dies. If he does not, we probably will not win this game. We miss the initial salvo, rear turret of justice out at the Republic, and now I think is a good idea to think about making a turn. Basically, when you're in a situation like this, pushing into an enemy destroyer and you know generally where they are, and you're fighting other ships, can be a good idea to zigzag, and you start zigging and zagging pretty much every time you fire your guns, because they take about 30 seconds or so to reload. That's a good enough time. You go in one direction for 30 seconds, fire the guns, turn in the other. You'd be surprised how many torpedoes you can dodge using this method, even if you're pushing into something like a Jaeger, which has very, very fast torpedoes, although they don't hit that hard. Jaeger, though, has given up. He's pushing in for the YOLO, and that is going to spell his demise. We net the Confederate medal there, and we're over 200,000 damage done. Ship count, once again, has reached parity, 3v3, but effectively it's me, 1 battleship versus 3 enemy battleships. Our other teammates are not really the kind of ships that want to be spotted or will be shot at, so we are going to need to deal with Carl Johan, Republic, and the Marlborough. We're going to shoot at Carl Johan, though, because we know his armor is basically useless against our guns, and he's got the least amount of HP. Not great results there, and we do get lit on triple fire, but the CV comes in with a torpedo drop against the Carl Johan, and it looks like he might be straightening out his angle, which is probably not a good idea for him. I assume he's launching torpedoes. We've got Republic right in front of us. Carl Johan does give us flat broadside, and this should be all we need to take him out. Well, rear turret of justice is actually going to do it, but nevertheless, a kill for us. 216,000 damage done, and we're ahead on points. So as long as we kill the Republic here, even if we die, we're going to win. And thus, it is time to ram. But first, 1 shot against the Marlborough, and man, do I wish I had this shot back, because that could have been a dev strike. Instead, it's about 5k. But we have no HP left, so we have no choice but to ram. 222,000, and the ram takes us to 298. Now, I think that might have been more damage I deserved for that RAM. I tried to look to see how many hit points the Republic had, and I thought it was somewhere around 50, 60K or so. So really, I think maybe that RAM should have netted me about 270,000 damage rather than 298. I'm not sure. That could be the result of a bug. But either way, I think we blew the damage record out of the water. And some of you, I know you think ramming never has a place in this game, but I think this is a good example of when is the right time to do it. It's just a shame we couldn't get a dev strike on that Marbara for the Kraken and over 300K, because that would have been a nice number. But 298 is more or less 300K, and it is potentially the damage record in the ARP Musashi, albeit with a bit of an asterisk. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.